Hello and welcome to the Brothers Slim. Hi. Diving back into the Oathsworn quick story here with chapter 3. So let's go ahead and jump straight in here. With chapter 3, we have... Oh, yes. I don't know how well it's going to show up there. There we go. That's a little better. A little closer. Yes, Burn the Witch. Great old Queens of the Stone Age song. Alrighty. No glasses are raised and no songs are sung in your honor after the battle with the creature. Without proof of the satyr's death, the town will continue to search for the cause of the murders and nightmares. You rise the next day to see a procession heading toward the center of town, with more and more citizens joining it along the way. Fableman Greycane catches you in the streets. He looks tired and drawn. They've taken her, he says. Lysine, the apothecary. They blame her for the nightmares. He hurries you to the town square where piles of timber have been stacked around a huge metal pole driven into the flagstone. Bound to the pole, Lysine pleads for the crowd. Please, you don't know what you're doing. You don't realize what will happen. As you push through the crowd, the woodpile bursts into flame and Lysine cries out. The fire rises up around her and Lysine's cry becomes a soul-wrenching scream. Off to the east, something from the Deepwood returns the call. Something big. Beyond the wall, a deep rumbling sound draws closer, and then a mighty crack reverberates through the air. Over the rooftops, you look into the distance and see the city's eastern wall crack and crumble underneath the force of a powerful impact. Smoke begins to rise and buildings collapse as something enormous penetrates the city. Lysine is clearly a witch, and her pain is drawing something from the Deepwood. You must put a stop to this. Not knowing whether killing the woman would make things worse, you leap onto the blazing platform and cut Lysine free. Lysine collapses in your arms, gasping for breath. You could have done that sooner, she says. The keening could have been prevented. Yeah, so when we played, we tried to rescue her a whole bunch, and were unable to. Gain ally card 9, Lysine, yes. The Deepwood's come alive, cries a man as he flees from the destruction. As buildings begin to collapse in a pattern heading straight toward you, you catch your first glimpse of the devastating beast. Great tusks ring ahead of Great tusks ring ahead of storm gray armored plates, and thick legs the size of tree trunks pound the earth. You have never encountered anything so gigantic. No city can survive a breach like this. Your only option is to escape while you still can. You run as fast as you can through the city streets and alleys. Shouts and cries for help ring out while buildings collapse left and right. This description, and there's a piece of art in the main storybook. I wonder if I can just find it quick, actually. Just totally gives me dire pangolin vibes. And I'm here for it. Okay, chapter 3. Chapter 3, page 29. That's cool. It actually has a slightly wider angle of that same shot of art, which is pretty sweet. But that's not what we're here for. We are here for the dire pangolin. Yes. So we guessed dire pangolin before seeing this, and I mean, like, that's a dire pangolin for sure. It's so cool. Okay, anyways, back to the synopsis. This is my street! Please! We need to help them! Your guide mid-shouts as he points to the half-fallen building. You continue... that's kind of a little optional thing that you can do. It doesn't really have any outcome on the quick play story here, though. We tried to help basically everyone that we could, including going back to the Broken Oak, and a bunch of people were going to drink to their deaths and such, and we managed to convince them to come with us, which is pretty cool. And got a bunch of food and rations in doing so. But in this quick version, you continue running towards the main gate. It is barred shut and will take time to open. As you and the guards scramble to lift the heavy bar, the ground shakes and a smell of sulfur fills the air as the great beast, the Doom of Bastogne, breaks through a line of houses up the street. One of you can try to distract it, or you can all stand together whilst the guards open the gates. So this was a little different in the main story. It was basically, I think the way we got it at least was we had to sacrifice someone. And so at the time I was playing as the warbear and did the good old witness me sacrifice kind of move. And so that person died, but it was pretty epic. It was a great last stand. You finally manage to get the gates open. You turn to run, but are confronted with a sea of claws and teeth waiting outside. You try desperately to fight through the pack of beasts, but each time you strike one down, 2 more takes its place. You begin to feel hope may be lost and your oath soon fulfilled. As the next wave approaches, Lysine limps in front of you. With cold fury in her eyes, she raises her outstretched arms, and the blood of the fallen levitates off the ground and into the air. As the charging beasts draw close, Lysine lets loose a furious roar, and the blood coagulates into the shape of countless spikes and spears. With a flick of her wrist, the projectiles rip through the ravenous creatures, obliterating them in the hundreds, leaving nothing behind but a field of carnage. In the aftermath, Lysine collapses. Scooping her up, you take her with you. You owe her that much. With the way cleared, you press through the gate. Behind you, the city falls, and all around you, the sounds of death can be heard as people stream into the Deepwood. Running through the trees, you lose the great beast that pursues you, and instead bump into another group of refugees led by Greycane and Bram. Thankfully, they survive the carnage as well. Nice. Banding together, you decide on your next steps. Your only hope at this point is to head to Varoom, but you are going to need to find the wire road first. Several hours into the trek, the rumbling begins again, this time from below. The shaking stops for a moment, and the procession of refugees holds its collective breath. Suddenly, the gaping maw of a giant worm bursts from the hard earth, swallowing one of the poor refugees whole. Ooh. Cool. Chapter 3. What it be? This is one of the biggest boxes in the whole game. And so, what's in the box? What's in the box? It's a giant worm, and it's so cool. So someone who loves D&D and didn't have a giant purple worm miniature before, this is just too perfect. And although it's a very basic common paint scheme, and I think is basically the box art too, I couldn't not make it a purple worm. I just couldn't not. So we'll get a little closer on this terrifying, creepy face, if it's going to get in focus. Might not. I used some Ohu glue to do like some creepy saliva effects a little bit too. I don't know how well it's shown off there though, but yeah, so that is one segment. So you put that guy down on the map like that. And then it's got other segments too. Very cool, very cool. And then it just kind of conga lines around, and that's how it moves, which is so cool. I love it. And case in point for the purple worm, it's got a stinger tail, which I mean, heck yeah, it does. So there we go. And so that's kind of how it looks on the board, and it's just too cool. So when you move it, if for example it moves to here, then the next piece goes where the last one was, and so forth. So it just kind of conga lines through the map, and like genius if you ask me, like so cool. I love it. There we go, there we go. I'll pull this out a little bit. All right, and let's check out Chapter 3, Unique Items. Twilight's Edge. Cool looking two-handed sword. Skewer, one-handed sword. Wormhide. Wormblood Potion. That's pretty sweet. Cool ability on that one too. And Captain's Plate. So this one's kind of an example of like, give me some more worm stuff if you ask me. Although some of the stuff is kind of cool too. Like I think there's a captain who you can get in as an ally, or he could die as well. So like there is some cool relevance to the stories at least. Sweet, well, let's do the epilogue. You stand triumphant over hacked bits of the massive worm's corpse, but the battle was not without casualties. Lost in the middle of the Deepwood with a group of terrified civilians and limited supplies, you know there will be more lives lost before you can reach the safety of Varoom. All hope lies on you finding the wire road now. Tally level loot and losses, which is just a great little phrase, and that's how you level up. Sweet. Well, thank you for joining me as always on the Brothers Slim. And we'll catch you next time for some more Oathsworn goodness into the Deepwood. Bye!